Alright, so I just got done watching the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte, and it was actually alright. I mean, it wasn't the best thing I've ever seen, but it was good. The characters weren't anything special. None of them really stood out to me, except for May and Soul. They're probably my favorite characters, especially Soul. The story is alright, and the overall special effects and prop designs were decent. There is a pretty big thing to note about the show, that being its trailers. Now, I'm not one to base an entire show off of a couple of trailers, but I will say that they were bad, and they definitely soured my hopes for the show. However, from watching these 2 episodes, it has definitely cemented my views that you shouldn't judge a show by its trailer before you can actually see it. Now, this brings up a really big issue I've had with the fandom these last few months. I have never in my life seen the fandom more divided and toxic than it is right now. People have been completely ripping each other apart over a few trailers. And honestly, I'm blaming both sides of the fandom for this. Those who decided to call the show a piece of garbage before it even came out, and then got angry over a few political takes said by a couple of the show's actors and creators. And I also blame those who blindly salivated over a couple of trailers that objectively weren't great. They did this just because they were mad at people who said that they didn't like the way the show looked. It's become a big mess of people getting madder and madder at each other and ultimately taking it out on the show one way or another, which has resulted in everybody either holding an absolute hatred of the show or blindly following it and violently defending it. Seriously, I've seen people get called racist bigots for saying that they don't like the trailer, which it is totally not okay to call someone if they're not racist. And with that being said, I have also seen people say some genuinely racist things, which is also not okay. Now, before I go any further, I'll give my personal take on the whole political debate around the quote-unquote wokeness of The Acolyte. The only thing I see is a diverse cast, which of course isn't a bad thing unless they're trying to shove it down our throats and say the whole men bad, women good thing, or just plainly virtue signaling. From the 2 episodes I've seen of this show, I have seen none of that. It's just a Star Wars show, and it focuses on the story, not trying to push mainstream divisive political ideologies on us. Now, I should say that this is only the first 2 episodes, but I really think that this is the right way to make a diverse show. It hasn't gotten political, which I really like. Now, there are also 2 things I want to touch on before ending the video. The first being the death at the very beginning of the show, of the girl whose name I have forgotten. Now, a lot of people are really upset at this, saying that knife beats lightsaber now. Well, it doesn't. Obviously, the scene is a little bit more complex than knife versus lightsaber. When the bad villain girl, whose name I have also forgotten, is fighting the Jedi isn't trying to kill her. She's just blocking her attacks. So the evil twin girl uses the Jedi's weakness for innocent life to lower her defenses. Overall, her death was fine. I thought it was kind of cool, and in my opinion, the criticisms of it aren't thought out at all. And I don't want to jump too far when I say this, but in my opinion, they're probably just pent up anger over the whole mess of this show and the kind of reaction to it. Now, the final thing I wanted to touch on, and I know I've said this before, is that this is only the first 2 episodes. So just like the trailer, everything I've said could age like milk. I don't know. I'm just here to give my current thoughts. And there's still a lot more episodes, so it's just important to keep in mind that we shouldn't judge too harshly when we haven't seen the whole picture yet, just like the trailer.